Hey guys, I don't know if some of you are familiar with Shana Lewis. Well, she's a woman who lives in Dallas, and I heard about her for the first time when Regina had first gotten to Dallas, and Jaguar decided to have her stay at her home. Well, Regina's family at the time was trying to recover her for her to be back in Detroit. And Shana Lewis was offering for Regina to stay at her place. She said she had a place for her to stay until the family can come and retrieve her and take her back to Dallas. Well, Shauna Lewis said, well, the family didn't follow up with certain things. She did her end, she followed up on her end, but the family dropped the ball and they just stopped following up. Pretty much they washed their hands with Legina because I guess they probably said that, she's almost 30. She's a grown woman. She can do whatever the hell she want to do, which is true. She can do whatever she wants to do. It's not like if she was living with someone in a family before she went to Jaguar. She was living on her own. And so the family kind of washed their hands. They didn't follow up with Shauna Lewis on the things that they were supposed to do in terms of court hearings and filing certain reports. And so she just, didn't follow up with them anymore because she saw where they were not interested in retrieving Regina. So this happened back in February. So fast forward into today, she was on another content creator show, LMSYT show. And she explained about a police report filed against Jaguar Wright, why she filed the report, and more details about that. But here's her breakdown of what happened, why she got involved, and where the whole process is right now.
I do not know Jacqueline. I do not know her husband. I don't know anybody that has to do with her at all. I'm just a woman that lives in Dallas with kids who's been on YouTube following things around. Okay. When things started coming out about Jag, I started to speak because it was told to me, and I confronted Jag about this. Some of you might remember on another content creator's channel who let me see a transcript. Actually, you missed one, but that was the person's channel I was on, who you were talking about flipped on me. I was speaking about her owing. I was speaking about her owing money, and so went to a bunch of drug dealers here in South Dallas. So when I confronted Jaguar about it.
So she said she doesn't know Jaguar, but then she said she confronted her on another panel about her owing drug dealers, owing them money. So I'm wondering, how did she not know her then? Because if she doesn't know Jaguar, then she would not know she owed drug dealers money. Maybe she knows people who knows Jaguar, and those people deal in the same place where the drugs are sold, and so they were able to pass on the information about Jaguar. Maybe Jaguar is a customer, and they know that to be a fact. So she knows these people, and they were able to pass on information. This is what I'm thinking. Because it's not adding up that she doesn't know Jaguar, but yet she knows something so personal that she owes drug dealers money. That's a very personal information that only the person who owes the dealer and the dealer would know. But in any event, maybe one day she's going to come out and tell us how come she got this information. Who told her that Jaguar owes drug dealers in Dallas money? Anyway, let's move on with the story. Let's continue to listen to what she has to say.
So when I confronted Jaguar about it, she never denied it, nothing like that. She actually jumped off the panel. Okay. She came back, and in coming back, she pulled out weapons. She threatened to unalive my children right then and there in front of hundreds of people. The next day, she was, the next day, she was allowed back onto that content creator's channel, and she spoke about how she was going to, tie me up, throw me in her car, in the trunk of her car, get people to essay me, and then she was going to kill me, and I'm sorry, trigger warning, unalive me and stuff like that, as well as my children.
So here's the thing, folks. You can make all the threats that you want to make, but when it comes to the children, people don't play with their kids. And so Shana Lewis filed a police report on Jaguar back in February because of it. And Jaguar have that on the books now. And there's supposed to be a warrant out for her arrest. So Shana Lewis said she's aware of it because she was served. So that brings us to today, when she threatened Nikki and Nikki's children. So Jaguar have not learned her lesson because she's still walking around free, and nobody has picked her up on this warrant. The police officers know where she lived. As a matter of fact, after the charges were filed by Shana Lewis, she was picked up twice or three times after. So she was in the system already for this outstanding warrant for threatening Shana Lewis' children. And they didn't hold her in jail, and she didn't answer to those charges because all the charges were different. She had two misdemeanors in the mayor's office. She had another misdemeanor when she called and when she went into the police department threatening Officer Ramirez, etc. And she went into the mayor's office lately. She had the airport incident. To my knowledge, all of those events happened after Shana Lewis filed her complaint, and they were supposed to pick up Jaguar. But the thing is, they had her in their possession on several occasions. I'm wondering, why did they not slap her with those charges that Shana Lewis made? I'm just baffled. Could it be maybe they're looking at her as a mentally ill person, and so they're in their hearts, maybe they found the compassion not to put her away in jail for threatening these children of Shana Lewis? That's what I'm thinking. And if that's the case, they could have kept her longer in the psych hospital. If they don't want to hold her in jail, at least have her be there longer. Because look, she's back out and now she's threatening her husband. But let's continue to listen to Shana Lewis and her breakdown of her dealings with Jaguar Wright.
Yeah, the next day, she went on that same content creator channel. That content creator was like, well, I told her not to say nothing, which she didn't. And Jag threatened my kids again to unalive my kids. And she went into great detail about how she was going to unalive me and my children, in addition to showing these weapons. Y'all see people in the chat saying, yes, she did, they were there. So, but this was in February. So, that police report that you put up, that I showed you, that you have, yes, and I have receipts for everything. And let me see your transcripts. Have seen my receipts. She can verify. She can vouch for me. So after I went to Dallas Police, made the reports, spoke with the detective. There was another content creator that called the police with me as well. So there's another report that was made. But this one had to do with Angela. I'll get into that later. But there was another content creator who called as well. And the information that she got was saying the same thing, because it was the same detective that I'm working with. So after I made my reports, they went online, viewed the videos, her comments, everything like that. And then I was told I had a case. I was able to retain an attorney here in Texas, and don't let anybody tell you that they can't get a lawyer here in Texas. If you do not have money for a lawyer, they have what's called legal aid. In your case, depending on what your case is and your financial record, you can qualify for free legal services. So
she's absolutely correct about that, and that free legal service is not only in Texas, but it's all over the United States. It's part of your amendment rights. And your amendment rights are broken down as it pertains to obtaining a lawyer that you cannot afford. So the Sixth Amendment rights guarantees that criminal defendants have a right to a lawyer. Even if you cannot afford a lawyer, the state will provide one. But even if you're not a criminal and you need a lawyer, you cannot afford one, the state will provide one. And it's all based on income. If you can afford it, how much you can afford, etc. In Shana Lewis' case, she said that if you cannot afford an attorney, one will be provided for you. She wanted to file a case against Jaguar Wright, and I guess if she could not afford it, she had a right to representation, and the state would provide that also. That's basically what she was telling us. So whatever state you're in, you'd have to call and ask questions as to legal representation. If you cannot afford a lawyer, you can contact the legal services program in your county to see if you qualify for free legal services, according to Google. But I just wanted to look that up real quickly. So let's continue to listen to what Shana Lewis had to say.
I retain an attorney.
So Shana Lewis then said she has cancer. This is why she dropped off the radar. And we didn't hear from her for a couple of months now because she's been battling that and getting her treatment.
I was told, and I'm going to tell y'all why y'all didn't hear from me. For one, my cancer it advanced, and I needed to be away and take care of that as well as my kids, which is why I had surgery this week. And then I was legally advised not to speak until certain information was gathered. So that's why when you all would see me, when I would pop up and I would say hello and things like that, you all would be like, hey, what's going on? And I would tell you legally I can't say anything. Because I will tell you, chats and lives and everything like that that's attached to her name, they have been monitored since February. They have been legally monitored since then. Now, it's up to other people to call and make reports against her. They can listen to her threaten people all the long day. But until somebody steps up and does what I did, the police won't do anything.
So basically what she's saying, folks, is if you have a complaint against Jaguar Wright, file a complaint. Just don't sit back and do nothing about it. Like the people who she stiffed with the salve ointment. So the first step you guys have to do is file a complaint at the police department, and then they will advise you the steps you need to take. But you just can't keep inboxing Jaguar for your money, and it's been going on 2 years now.
They can just go, oh, well, that part, well, you didn't say anything, so you must don't take it serious. I took it serious. As I said on that live, had she just kept it to me, that would have been okay. I wouldn't have worried about it. You brought my children into this. That's one thing I do not play with. I do not play with my kids. And I told her then, you brought my kids into this, you're going to pay for that. I don't care if it's 6 months from now, a year from now, my foot is not being let up off of her because of this. You're not going to get away with threatening my children. Anybody's children that have been threatened by her, I encourage you to go to the police.
Well, Nikki said she already went to the police because she threatened her children. And you know, guys, we can't play with stuff like this because we're living in a time when people carry out their threats, okay? It's not idle threats. A lot of these people carry through with their threats. So if someone makes a threat once, twice, you got to take them seriously. Do not wait for the third time, because the third time may be too late. Even the second time may be too late.
The more reports that she has on her, the better. I also was advised by my legal counsel to file a restraining order, which I did. Because, see, I could have took this to the streets. I could have.
So Shana Lewis said she's not a stranger to the streets. She could have handled it street justice-wise. You know, a lot of people believe in street justice, and they feel satisfied and vindicated that way. because oftentimes the legal system do not come through for us. A lot of people who perpetrate crimes go scot-free, and you just left there as a victim in your pain to suffer that pain for years. So she said she's not a stranger to the street, and she could have pulled up on Jaguar at any time, but she preferred to have the judicial system fight her battle.
I could have found her, went out to South Dallas, MLK station, or down in Ledbetter. I could have went out there. I could have slid somebody some money and like, hey, go handle that for me. I could have did that. Just because I'm a mother and I'm a mom and I'm an adult. I had a past.
Well, you know what they say? Every saint was once a sinner, and every sinner is a potential saint. So a lot of people have had a past, but they're straightening up their lives because, you got to move on to becoming an adult and not live in that childhood phase of just wilding out and doing any old thing. You got to be responsible when you start having children. When you get older, you get more mature. Time teaches us. With age brings wisdom. That's an old saying.
So I could have went that way. I did not go that way. I could have. Because, you could file a restraining order and things like that against people, and they can still come at you because they'll say, oh, it's just a piece of paper. And I told not only the detective that I'm working with, but also my attorney, I said, if there any time somebody that knows her or something like that gets wind of what my face looks like or something, and I'm approached, I'm going to defend myself. I'm telling you that now. And they were like, hey, there's nothing we can do about that.
Well, I think that goes across the board. Anytime somebody approaches you, you got to defend yourself if the person is going to attack you. But what she's saying is anybody in Jaguar Wright's camp coming at her, she's going to have no choice than to defend herself. And she already put it out there to her attorney and the detectives. So I guess if things go down, she's going to cop the plea of self-defense.
So, I will also say this because I know some people, I know what I said yesterday has been on some people's minds. Jaguar has had 2 court dates that she has not made.
So guys, these are court dates that Jaguar is aware of because she had been served. And since she had a stationary address, she's not a nomad or a gypsy moving from place to place. She had a stationary address where her mother was staying and her son was staying at. So they were able to serve her, but she just did not show up.
But the second one was supposed to be done here when I was here in the hospital during a Zoom call. She did not attend.
And a Zoom call is very easy because you don't got to leave your house. You're in your house. You're looking at the TV while the court is going on and you're participating. Instead of her being in the car, acting a fool and making trouble for other people, she could have been actively participating in her court date.
She now has a warrant for her arrest. Now, I know what y'all saying. If she popping up in Lancaster and stuff like that, why can't they just, get her then?
So that was my question at the beginning of this video. With all the arrests that she's had since February, they could have gotten her then and retained her on the warrant, this outstanding warrant. But what Shana Lewis is saying is that the procedure is for them to go get her. So they got to go to her house and put her in cuffs. Doesn't make sense to me. They already got this woman in custody for another offense, the lawyer's office, the airport incident, cussing out detectives, going into the police station, being arrested then. You want to tell me that they can't apply those charges once they got her in custody for other offenses? It doesn't make sense that they got to now go out to her residence to arrest her when they already got her in jail. I don't understand the system. I'm at a loss. But in any event, according to Shana Lewis, they have to go out and actually arrest her. So YouTubers, if you guys want to weigh in at this point, feel free. And a little sidebar here. Don't forget to smash the subscribe button. It's a good time to hit that subscribe button. I get a lot of people visiting the page, but you're leaving without subscribing. It doesn't cost you a thing. It doesn't do anything to your channel. It doesn't, it just promotes my channel with YouTube. That's all it does. But it doesn't cost you a thing. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button while looking at the video. You can do so. I mean, I'm giving you the content that you enjoy because I got a lot of visitors over here. So the least you can do to promote my channel is to subscribe.
She has to be, they have to go and pick her up. Now, if she happens to get pulled over, driving recklessly or something like that, and they run her license, the warrants will pop up. And guess who's going to jail? But they can't, they've been to her house, they've been to the addresses that I've given them to be served. So she knows she has these court appointments because she's been legally served.
It just seems to me like if the ball is being dropped somewhere.
So it's not like she doesn't know. Also, the reason I've been quiet is because other individuals who have been involved, I've been privy to know a lot of different information because legally I've had to know. It's a lot again. Like I said, I'm coming from a legal standpoint, and I'm trying not to, come from an opinionated standpoint, even though I have my opinions of her. I can't, but this is something I can't, what I am saying to you all, I can say. I was given permission to say. I can also say that Adult Protective Services was notified, and there is an investigation for elder abuse, for elder fraud, financial fraud, and that sort of thing. That was something that I actually did back in February when the whole Angela thing was going on, when I was on Hear Her's platform. So I think a few people knew about that, but that's something that has progressed, which is why people no longer have access to money. I'm not saying this to y'all to get no kind of pattern or nothing like that. I'm telling you all because I can't. Jaguar was told not to say anything about me or anything else. She was told by my lawyer. After that, she goes on Instagram saying I blew up her car.
Jaguar has said a lot of people blew up her car. She has said Shana Lewis, Jay-Z, Rock Nation, P. Diddy, so she lacks credibility. And the latest person that she's claiming now blew up her car is her husband.
This was after she was told not to say anything else about me. This was after the fact, when she was legally advised not to mention my name again. She went on Instagram and was saying, like I said, I had nothing to do with that. Once she went on and started saying stuff like that, the video was saying she was told again, and that's why my name hasn't been in her mouth lately.
So I guess she's not mentioning Shana Lewis anymore because she can't. They put a gag order on her. She can't mention that woman's name, so she's moved on to other people, like Gerald and Nikki.
Because this is the thing about when people say moving in silence. That's what I have been doing. I've been keeping silent. I've been staying behind the scenes, doing whatever, coming on, saying, hey, here and there, blah, 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 stuff like that, everything. But when you blatantly, the day you were supposed to be at a court attendance, you online, but you're supposed to be somewhere in court. That's blatant. And it's about my children. That's blatant. That's the only reason I'm saying something now, because it was blatantly done.
It was malicious. You don't go after people's children. Everybody knows that.
If you're going to do something, do it. But again, this is in regards to my children. I don't care if I did tell her, like I said, I don't care what I said to her. You keep that between me and you. You don't bring my children into anything. You can say what you want to say to me as a grown man. Like I said, you can say what you want to say to me as a grown person. Like I said, you can say anything and everything you want to say to me as a grown up. I don't care about that. Again, she could have kept making threats to me, everything else. She could still be doing it at this point in time. I don't care. The thing is, I don't care what you say about me. It was when you mentioned my kids is when I had to go a different route. Because even though that it's an off chance that probably might not happen, it's an off chance that it will. And if something happens to my kids, all bets are off.
Well, you have to take those type of threats seriously, especially when it has to do with your kids. You do not fool around and mess around and, and think it's a joke when it comes to your children. When a grown adult makes those type of threats. And that's why I was happy. I was glad that Nikki filed a report also, because Jaguar repeated the threats against Nikki's children.
All bets are off. See, what some of y'all probably didn't see was Jaguar licking knives and telling me that she was going to stick that in my kids and put them to sleep for good and stuff like that. That's the kind of person that you're supporting. Now, you can support who you want to. That's on y'all. I can't make you, like I said, I can't make you do that. That's on you all. Now, if she would have said that about me and everything, again, that's fine and dandy. I don't care what you say about me. You do not put my children into this. That's what you don't do. That was her only mistake, was putting my kids into this. That was her only mistake.
A lot of people would have filed charges, not only Shana Lewis, because people don't play with their kids like that. And we saw where Nikki filed charges also recently. This just happened a couple of days ago.
I could be every dog, trash, hooker, whatever in the book. I don't care about none of that, because that don't make or break me. I'm not going to go cry in the corner about it. I don't care. But it was when you inserted my children. Then that's when my tune changed. That was when my tune changed completely. That was when I went quiet. I went silent, because I had to do what I had to do for my babies. Like I said, it's off chance that, hey, nothing can happen.
Yes, it's an off chance that nothing can happen, but you don't know that for sure. There's a chance also something can happen, so you do have to file a report.
But on that off chance that something, God forbid, on that off chance that something does happen, how do I know that it ain't had nothing to do with her? Then it's really going to be some hell. Because then I won't have nothing to lose. I won't have anything to lose at that point. So I don't care what people are saying, like I said, about me and things like that. I don't care if I told her I saw her standing on the corner smoking a pipe. That has nothing to do with you putting my kids into anything. And you all, the people that support her, you all have an issue holding her accountable for something like that. That woman should not be talking about nobody's children, especially when it comes to her deceased son. I'm a parent. I'm a woman that has lost a child as well. I lost a child in a very horrific way. I lost a 3-month-old son. My 3-month-old son was taken from me September 17, 2018, by his father.
Oh my God, that was a dagger in my heart. A 3-month-old being lost at the hands of his own father. Oh my Lord.
I keep my son's ashes with me. When she was quote unquote throwing her ashes around, it broke my heart, because I would never do that to my son.
We all saw that, and it was heartbreaking to see that woman throw her son's ashes like that, like if it was nothing, like if it was just dirt on the street. It was awful. It was really heartbreaking.
I still consider him my child. I still say Xavier's name like he's here. So I sympathize with her in that regard because I know that pain. I know what it's like to bring a child here and then to have them taken from you. I know that pain. I sympathize with her in that regard, which is why it surprised me that she goes and she threatens children when you lost a child. You know what it's like to have something that you carried and you nurtured to be ripped away from you. And you got the balls. You have the balls to threaten a child, to threaten to take a child away. When you know what it's like to have your own child ripped out. I know what that's like. Just like I know what it's like to be pistol whipped.
Boy, I'm telling you, Shana Lewis, you got a book, honey. This sounds like a book to me. She got all kinds of stories about her life. This woman has had a rough life. And I'm telling you, I don't know where she's at right now, but wherever she's at, I hope it's in a good place because she's had a really hard life. You know, to have a child deceased by his own father. I mean, I can't even imagine that. I'm still trying to wrap my brains around that. And now she's talking about being pistol whipped. Oh my Lord.
And I'm gonna tell y'all this right now. When I was pistol whipped, and let me see a transcript sheet that you should have that medical report. I had a broken collarbone. I had a broken occipital bone. My jaw was fractured. My arm was broken. I was in the hospital for 3 weeks. I spent 10 days in ICU after being pistol whipped. It hurts when somebody says that their husband is hurting them and you're not giving any evidence of this, especially when you live through something like that. Again, I sympathize with Jacqueline on that. I sympathize with her so hard because I know what that feels like, but it gives you no excuse. It gives you no right to disrespect the life of a child. That gives you no right. You can say what you want to say about adults. It gives you no right about children. Again, I'm explaining again how I got involved. And I'm not saying, oh, I wasn't in the clear. No. I was doing just like everybody else is doing. Coming up saying, well, Jay, I heard, that you owe some people some drug money.
Again, I'm wondering how she knew that. Who told her that? Because she said she doesn't know Jaguar. So obviously someone told her that.
And when she came up on the panel, I addressed it. She jumped off the panel. And everybody was like, she never said no about it because I was telling the truth. There's a saying that people like to use, which I can't stand when they use it because they don't understand it. It's called tell the truth, shame the devil. When you tell the truth and you shame the devil, they disappear. They get real quiet because they know they just heard the truth. The truth been set right in front of them. So now they got to maneuver a way to get out of it. Jaguar's way of when I brought that truth to her was to threaten the lives of my children. So now fast forward 6, 8 weeks, 2 months, here we are. Now we're here. All she had to do was not insert my children. I have an opinion that I can express, and just like you all, I have an opinion that I can say about any and everything. If you put your life out on the internet and online and stuff like that, you give us the right. Like I said, you give us the right to comment on it. You can't say, oh, you can't say nothing about this. Then why did you put it out there? That's like if I go stand outside and take all my clothes off, and then I'm telling everybody, don't look at me, but you stand out here butt naked. I'm inviting that in. Like I said, I'm inviting that in. So I went, and as the authorities know, because I told them, I said, listen, there was something that was going on in the panel. I went and said, hey, I know you be out. Yeah, I heard that, y'all owe some money out here, yada, yada, yada. I said, that's how this began. Well, it kind of began before that, but I had nothing. I wasn't involved with Jaguar. I was involved with the Angela thing, and because her family had asked me to do something, which I had done, and I'm upset about that because they didn't follow through. But that's why, she has that warrant from Michigan from fleeing the mental institution.
So, folks, what she's talking about is Regina Gold was supposed to check in on a weekly basis with an outpatient mental facility. That was part of why she was let out. But she never did check in. Instead, she fled the state and went to Texas to live with Jaguar. So she's got a warrant on her. And I wonder if she knows this.
Yeah, I've seen her papers too. I've seen Angela Owusu's documentation from both mental facilities that she's been in.
So, folks, as far as I knew, she was only in one facility. So Shana Lewis is now saying she's been in 2 facilities and she's got a documentation.
I have that documentation in my email. I have all of that. I got both. I got both. But the reason that even is involved in this is because I wasn't even talking about Jaguar at that point. I was, helping out her family because I was here in Dallas. I had offered, and they were like, well, can you get us this. So, but I even stepped back away from that. Once, after like a week of not hearing from her family, I stepped back out of that. I was like, nah, I'm going to let them deal with it. I did my part.
And we know her family has stepped all the way out the picture. So far back that they're out the picture because they washed their hand with Regina because I guess they figured she's almost 30. She's like 27, 28. So she's grown enough to be on her own without them worrying about her unless she reaches back and say, I need help. So they're pretty done with it because those people got their own lives. They got their children to grandkids, and who got time to be worried about this foolishness that Angela concocted that she is Leon R. Kelly's daughter?
I was like, I did my part, ooh, up shabam. But even with that gives nobody no right to talk about to threaten my children. I don't care what I've said about anybody. Again, you can come at me and say whatever you want to say about me.
So there you have it, folks. Shana Lewis talking her truth about why she stepped out of the picture with Angela Owusu and what's going on with her and her family, because the family did not reach back to her. She did her end of the bargain. They did not. They did not contact her to further with the next step, what they should do. And so she stepped back and she stepped out. Concerning Jaguar, she pressed charges. She says there's a warrant out for her because she threatened her children. The same thing Nikki did, file charges. Anyway, guys, drop your comments. Let me know what you think about this video. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm over and out, and I'll see you guys on the next video.